I did add in some extra code that you can review at a future point of resetting the enemy so he appears off screen, random Y position, and now enemy dot add event listener, and it's going to be of type event dot enter frame. We can just call it enemy loop. Just press this so it shows up higher on the screen for people. So now I need to define that function. So we had the create enemy function. I have a player loop function. Now I'm going to create an enemy loop function. The nice part is, the better you get at this, the more you can take advantage of code hinting and only type about half the letters on a given line, and code hinting will finish the rest for you. Now, I remember when I first started hanging out with people who are really good at coding with Flash and tools like that, and I would watch them do that during demonstrations as I'm trying to type along and didn't know how to trick the code hinting and working nicely. It drove me nuts because they'd be 10 lines down and I'm still on the first line because code hinting worked like magic for them. And I didn't realize how dependent I was on it till my code hinting broke earlier this semester, and it was a sad day when I had to type it all with zero hinting because code hinting saves me about 60% typing. I only type maybe 40% of what I need. Everything else code hinting drops in. So when it does fail, I get really frustrated because suddenly that's a whole lot slower to make my code. So the enemy loop, the first thing we could do is we could just move them, and we could say enemy.y minus equals, and we'll move them 10 pixels per frame. Now, if you do happen to rush ahead and say Command Enter and test your movie, you will get an error message. Yes, I gave you broken code. That's the kind of person I am tonight. Deal with it. But we'll fix it. So, previously we created a variable called enemy. Something happens when you define a variable within a function. That variable can only be accessed within that function. We can't actually get that variable by name when it's outside or when it was created within a function. So if we look, player was created kind of at the root or the base level. So player is going to be accessible everywhere. But I don't know how many enemies I will have during the course of my game, so I can't say enemy 1, enemy 2, enemy 3, enemy 4, enemy 5 until I'm blue in the face because, well, frankly, that would be a nightmare to code. I've coded programs that way, trying to simplify things, and all I did was grow to hate life. It sucked. There is a better way. Now, enemy, the name enemy exists here. The object will continue to exist. It is a display object that Flash is aware of. But we can no longer refer to it by the word enemy. We have to use a generic reference. We have to reference the target of this event. So this enter frame event was registered to enemy. So enemy's listening for it. So enemy is the target of that event. So instead of saying enemy down here, I can say e.target. So that is a shorthand way to reference enemy. But the nice part is every enemy that shows up can use this one line of code, and it will use it when it needs it. And it will be its own position. Now remember, the minus equals is the same thing as saying enemy.target.y is equal to enemy, or sorry, not enemy, e.target.y minus 10. Now the minus 10 is to move it because it's starting at the right-hand side of the screen. To go left, we have to subtract the value. Oh, sorry. And these should be x's, not y's. My bad. I'm just screwing up left and right. I give you bad code, and not only is it bad, intentionally bad, it's unintentionally bad as well. So that was a double bad. Double negative, cancel itself out, so now we're back to a positive. So e.target.x is equal to e.target.x minus 10. So I say my new x for the target is equal to the previous x minus 10. That's how we read that. Frankly, that's a lot of typing, a lot of letters that I could make typos on, and I would much rather say minus equals like this. Minus equals is simply this way of saying take the current value and set it equal to the previous value minus 10. That's what that does. E.target references the object that was listening for this event. So every enemy that's created will then listen for its own enter frame and adjust its own position by 10. That's what it should do. So now hopefully I've got rid of my double negatives in my code, my double errors, and if I'm lucky, I'm going to save first. Save often, Flash will crash on you. And we can see that they, oh yeah, and I forgot to change my random, so they spawn very frequently. And we can see that they're all moving independently like that. So that works out pretty well. Might want to modify this up to a slightly bigger number, maybe 20. That's a little healthier. So we get the oranges attacking the blues. So that's a good